Hello everyone, Sane Virtual here. Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade, the final trailer was just released and I'm pretty much sold. Intergrade comes with more brand new DLC content that chronicles our favorite shinobi from Wutai, Yuffie Cloud, who is also accompanied by her companion Sonon and it looks like a few others. Intergrade will bring Yuffie to a confrontation with Shinra, which is at war with Wutai. The trailer shows up PS5 gameplay of the FF7 remake and also some new tidbits into Yuffie's DLC. There is no new news on how long the DLC will be or if we'll probably explore outside of Midgar, but going off of previous reports, Yuffie's story will somewhat shadow the main gang as a secondary threat to Shinra, and if that is so, we will most likely be situated in Midgar, and here's believing that perhaps we may get a playable glimpse of Midgar's surrounding area by the end of the DLC. This can also coincide at the hint Nomura recently mentioned about Cloud running in the wilderness, which was translated from a recent Famitsu article, which further insinuates that Part 2 may introduce an open world, or at least sprawling vast areas. So what does this all mean with the information that we have so far? Judging by what the trailers have shown us, it is safe to assume that Intergrade can offer a new expansion on Midgar, possibly visiting areas and attractions completely new to the remake. It is also confirmed that For Condor, the beloved story arc hyphen minigame from the original, has now turned into a tabletop RPG in the remake.
You look about ready to die of boredom. Want to play Fort Condor?
Or Condor?
Now, I know the new information on Fort Condor has upsetted many fans, and personally I'm also a little bummed about it too. However, I do believe that the direction to cut it out of the remake is actually justified. While Fort Condor was a cool addition in the original and a very memorable one at that, it didn't quite offer a lot to the main story. The game and even Crisis Core made a huge point about the war between Shinra and Wutai, but it never focused on the occupation of Fort Condor in that same way. If anything, Fort Condor can easily be missed. The same can also be said about the visit to Wutai in the original, which was also an optional story arc for players. However, the original does make an effort to express the political landscape between Wutai and Shinra, as well as Crisis Core. This is also further cemented in the remake, where we occasionally run into NPCs talking about the war with Wutai, and also Don Corneo foreshadowing it as well. With the Fort Condor arc being removed, this will allow them to expand the Midgar continent in any way that they see fit. The remake is including characters and situations outside the scope of the original game, and is introducing story arcs in the Final Fantasy VII spin-offs. If Part 1 is any indication that the remake plans to expand as opposed to retelling, then we know in Part 2 and beyond it will follow the same format. Which means that the surrounding area of Midgar will also get an expansion and will include new areas, characters, and story arcs that is both new or carried from other Final Fantasy VII spin-offs. Be prepared to really spend time around Midgar in Part 2 because I don't think it's going to go by as quickly as it did in the original. We very much may get a Part 2 solely situated on the Midgar continent, with the final boss being Genova on the Shinra ship heading to Costa del Sol, or perhaps an entirely new boss fight altogether. Personally, I hope that Part 2 will cover the Midgar continent, the Shinra ship, Costa del Sol, Coral, the Gold Saucer, Gongaga, and finally ending Part 2 in Cosmo Canyon by finding the menacing Gi Natak. The chances of that actually happening for Part 2 is very slim, but it's also fun to speculate. So what does Final Fantasy VII Intergrade mean for future installments? We can expect certain content from the original game coming back, but as a DLC to bring the parts together. These DLCs can focus on new or pending characters with story material that allows them to navigate in locations that we already know, or even brand new ones in the world of Final Fantasy VII. There is potential we can get an entire Barret DLC in Coral, or perhaps a DLC with a new iteration on how Cid is introduced. The possibilities of how they may expand the story and bridge each part together should carefully be observed, simply because of the direction that they're going with in Intergrade. We may very well get several parts and smaller DLCs like Intergrade to bridge them off, but everything now is purely just speculation and only time will tell. That's it for today's video. If you enjoyed this content, make sure to hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, and comment below. What are your thoughts on part 2? What direction do you think the FF7 remake is going in? Thanks for watching, I'm Saint Virtual, and see you next time.